Welcome to the Composer's Corner. You can actually get your big break by having your songs placed in film and TV. And today, during the Temecula Film Festival, in addition to all the films that are being shown here, there is also symposiums and seminars being held for musicians to learn how to get their songs placed in film and TV. In fact, the Composer's Corner's own Bernard Baur is going to be heading up one of those seminars today, and he will be meeting with some heavy hitters who will be here to explain how easily, or how difficultly, if that is such a word, it is done. So stick around and let's show you what the symposium looks like.
And so the right placement can be really important. And what we're going to try to find out today is how an artist can get to people like this. So let me introduce them as you go across the board. We got Chris Violette over here, and he's a music supervisor and publisher. He was also an A&R manager for Island Records. He signed new talent and worked with groups like U2, the Cranberries, Melissa Etheridge. He has followed his career in A&R as a music supervisor with more than 30 film soundtracks to his credit. Next to him is Art Ford. Art has a music placement company, and he's a former vice president of BMG, Film and Television Music. He's made hundreds of song placements that include Grammy and Oscar-nominated cues. He's licensed songs in films such as Austin Powers, Men in Black, Batman Forever, What Happens in Vegas, and many others. He has also placed songs in television shows like Desperate Housewives, CSI Miami, Nip and Tuck. Cool shows. And he was also the music supervisor for the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2002 Winter Olympics. And last, we have Michael Lloyd, who is easily the epitome of a veteran in this industry. He has been in the industry for decades. He has over 40 years as a producer, music supervisor, composer. He's accumulated in excess of 100 gold and platinum records, over 72 albums, 34 singles, collecting numerous #1 singles. He has provided scoring, music supervision, songwriting, song placements, and music production for over 100 motion pictures, 16 TV movies, 13 television specials, and 35 television series. It's amazing how he could fit all that in a little lifetime. He is also the only member of this panel who has received a Razzie Award for Worst Original Song for the Garbage Pail Kid.
How'd you do it?
Secret? Let's take a film like Dirty Dancing, for one, that had a lot of music in it. How did you get involved with it, and what was the process as to the type of music they were looking for? Do they even know what type of music they wanted?
Believe it or not, the singers that you hear in that, Bill Medley, Jennifer Warnes, Mary Clayton, Patrick Swayze, those are the only people that we could get. It wasn't like we had a bunch of choices. Kim Carnes turned me down, Carly Simon turned me down, Daryl Hall, I don't know, on and on and on. Everybody turned me down. They didn't like the song, they didn't care about the script, you know. Doesn't make them unintelligent, it just makes it the business, right? So you've got to try and face these things. You've got to try and be as adaptable as possible, and you have to never give up.
Is there any one person who has the ultimate decision? Is the decision maker, or does it vary according to project to project?
It'll vary according to project. However, with television, it's usually the executive producer is your main person in charge, and in film, it's usually the director. And many times it depends on how much power the director and the filmmakers have with the studios. The studios may override the director because the director's already gone over budget on this and that, and they're going, well, this is what it is. Well, so it's to answer your question, it's kind of wherever the power is.
Music seems so far on the horizon. It's the easiest budget to take away from when you have a location. You have to have this location. But it's going to cost more. Well, we can take a little bit from the music budget. Part of the problem that informs that is there are always people willing to provide music for next to nothing. And that informs a lot of decisions made by experienced producers.
Chris is just talking about this, and they're coming down to the wire. He's talking about deadlines and all. That's a good time for you.
Yeah, closed deals.
That is a much better time, because at the beginning, they're thinking, oh, we're gonna get the Beatles. Right? At the end, when reality has finally hit, and that they're
Really true.
the Beatles indeed have broken up, they're not with us anymore, then they'll say, okay, I guess we need something else. That is the perfect time for you.
If a song is really perfectly placed and everyone loves it, is some extra money ever found?
Is it what?
Extra money found? Well, that's a no.
Wow.
It's all about timing and leverage. I mean, if you're at the very end of the post-production process and they're at the finish line, they're at the finish line, and they either have to come up with it or drop the song and get into another level of crisis, yeah, there can be more money, but you usually don't ask for more money after it's already been pre-approved.
Right.
And I wouldn't say pre-approved, but if they said their budget was this, it would be not right of me to then, okay, now that you've got everybody to like it, I want to charge you 20% more. No, I would never do that. But a song's kind of worth whatever it's worth on a given day. You can sit and negotiate about, you know, somebody's offering you $5,000 for the song and you're going, I want 7, and you're playing hard ball with them because you know from your inside people that everybody's into it, and the next day the supervisor finds a song that he likes every bit as good, and everybody else is saying, well, we'd go for that, and they're going to charge him $2,500. Well, you've just not only either you've lost the deal or you've devalued it by 50% by not just closing the deal. It's, you know, it's opportunity there today, gone tomorrow.
Welcome to the Composer's Corner.
Requests you get for placement, since you do placements across the board. Do they get very specific?
Yeah, they usually have a song temp in there that they can't get, so it kind of gives you the map, tempo, vibe, gender, lyric, you know, subject of what they're looking for. And then they usually, on top of that, the reason why they can't get the song is because they can't afford it. And then the next question is, well, what can you afford? And then if you're trying to get from A to Z very quickly, you're only going to be presenting them with artists and songs that can be affordable at those fees. Most of the time, I don't see the scenes that I pitch songs to, but that you find with the music supervisors, like these guys on both sides of me, they've done it so many times, they can explain the scenes to you over the phone, and you're going, oh, and like this, and you get a vision, you know what it looks like.
There's no front end, but there is some back end performance ASCAP BMI, or there's zero.
You get performance royalties on television, but cable performances pay completely different than like an ABC so it's much less. If you're pitching a song that you have co-writers on and so forth, make sure that you know who administers, who controls their publishing, if they have any issues, if you're pitching for a commercial, if they have issues with certain kinds of brands or something, because you can really look bad to whoever you're pitching the song to by all of a sudden.
You won't get a second chance.
Yeah, you've wasted a guy like Chris or Mike's time and had them run it all up the flagpole in their last hour, and they thought they had it, and then all of a sudden you've got a Yahoo writer that played the tambourine and has 10% of the song going, oh, I don't want to be in these kind of horror films, it's just not me. Well, you know, it's just like that kind of stuff is the reason why guys like these will call me, and I'm forcing them to have an agreement between themselves before I get into the middle of a bee's nest.
Well, as far as the value of what a song may be, does it depend on where it's placed in a film, or does the value change at all depending on its use?
As someone that's trying to get their new song, new songwriter, you know, you're basically developing and you're trying to get something in the film, you're just trying to get it in the film. So, you know, the majors do those kind of things. There's all kinds of different rates for how that song is used. In terms of you need to get it in.
Yeah.
And, you know, before you worry about whether it's credits or not, if it's in the credits, thank you, great, better place. You know, how, you know, you're interested in the placement. If it's in a bar and people are talking and you're in the background, it may not mean enough, a lot for you other than to use the credit, maybe the little money they give you, or whatever. First film that I happened to score was a silent movie. It was like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's an involved, tedious story. And, you know, the director was real talented, and he worked one of the cameras, and, you know, he just let me go in and write music, and I'd never done this before, so it was one of those things. You know, I was just anxious to get it in. I didn't get paid anything, right? Where do you want me to show up? The guy that made the movie was Steven Spielberg.
Good guy.
So, you know, that was his first movie. That was called Amblin. That's where Amblin Entertainment came from. And so I've known Steven for 40 years, and you know, and we're still waiting for Amblin to come out on DVD. So, you know, these things can come in strange places. So I'm 17, you want to do this movie? Yeah. How can I do it? I wasn't even I never even asked what I was going to get paid. So sometimes good things happen. I mean, you have to be willing to be out there working for this. It's not always, you know, as Art is saying about the money and all this kind of stuff, you know, it's not, you got to be careful. You can be out of the business quickly.
And there was advice from experts on the panel that sometimes you might want your song played for nothing. They're not going to pay you a penny.
Well,
I mean, that happens at MTV all the time. MTV is hungry for new artist material, but they generally don't pay for it. What you get is the exposure and you get the credit.
My experience is that Hollywood is more inclined to punish the good deed than reward it. If you let yourself become someone who gives your music for free, you won't be the guy they go to when they have money. It's just not how the real world works.
Over the last 40 or 50 years, Mike and I have had incredible experience of putting our stuff in movies, perhaps more than anybody in Hollywood. I mean, it goes back to, you know, the Roger Corman days.
Right.
And that's how we started to have success, was putting our songs in little tiny movies. So that could be A Light of My Life, that could be the theme from Wild Angels, that could be all kinds of weird things that we did. But you know, the point is, and what these guys are giving you is just great advice, and what Bernard is sharing too, that the whole idea here is that you guys are talented. You guys have stuff that all of these filmmakers and TV makers and everything, they need. They need you. We need you. What we're faced with is trying to get through the walls and the bricks that are falling on us, and all the way along, trying to do this job. That we're all in the same business of trying to bring music to people. And it's tough, but it's always been tough.
Welcome to the Composer's Corner.
There are two rights involved when they're doing that. There's the underlying rights to the song, and there are the rights to the master recording. Hopefully you own both. If you don't, you get into the situation that Art mentioned before about clearances and people giving permission for its use. So it's important to know who owns the rights to the song, who owns the rights to the master recording. Those clearances become very important, don't they? Now, when they deal with someone like you are, I know there's also an agreement that might address part of this gentleman's question over there that does involve publishing rights. Isn't that correct? Can you explain what that might be?
Well, like my company, in many cases, I just take a percentage of the revenues that I generate for the placement. But if I'm able to put a new group, like I just put a new kid, a 19-year-old, in the Hannah Montana movie for 3 visual vocals, and Disney is signing him and blah, blah, blah. Well, on those songs that I placed in there, not only we got about $40,000 a song for basically pretty unknown artists here in the U.S., I co-publish those songs for the life of the copyright because I'm putting more money in that writer's hands on those 2 songs than he would get from a major publisher advancing him money to write songs for them for a year that he may have to deliver them 1,200% written songs in that year to make his 40 or 50 grand. So I have a new publishing model that I acquire ownership if I can bring my writers something big enough for them to go, hey man, I want to do this. Well, then we do it. If you know, a lot of times if the writers are really iffy about me partnering with them, and there's no amount of money in the world that, you know, you can buy their songs, I'll just go, let's split the money 50-50. I'll take 20 grand, and you take 20 grand, and you can own your song.
Michael, in a situation where you may be brought on to compose a score, are you work for hire? Do you retain rights to that material, or is it all negotiable? How do you approach that?
I always start from the position of negotiation. They always start from the position that they own it.
Okay.
So, you know, it's always confrontational. I think the trick is to do the best you can, not always be regimented in your thinking. It's going to change from project to project.
How does people get material?
I actually, if you do a little surfing, you can find my contact information.
Okay.
And that's and I do listen to unsolicited material. I get a ton of it. I listen to all of it. I reply to none of it. It's not true. It's time consuming enough. Generally, I spend the first 2 to 3 hours crack of dawn every day listening to new music.
Let me ask you, what do you like to receive? Do you just want to get the music? I mean, I hear so many things from people who go through a lot for song play.
We like to hear good things.
That they want genre stated, tempo stated. They want some identification because supposedly that's the way you guys file this music away in your library. Yeah, are there some specs that they should know when they're submitting stuff to you?
No, I actually less is more. It's like just, you know,
Okay.
a CD
more.
with a letter that says, you know, close please find CD with 5 of my best songs. Thank you for listening. Your contact information. That's it. You know, if it's just that, I can't make any preconceptions about what the music is or how good it is unless I actually listen. If a package comes with a really tacky photo and a badly written letter from a songwriter or a list of achievements that I know are bullshit, I'll never listen to
The
them.
magic marker CD.
Yes.
Always say when you present music, who controls what. Period. Always say that. If it's an emerging artist, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really interested in emerging artists' songs unless they control 100% of their master and their composition, because in the real world, the money deals are going to be small enough for those kinds of artists that time management wise for me, I want to be able to make one call and know that I got this song, because I've got 13 other plates going. If I have to track down 3 writers and they don't really know where to find that writer and he's moved, I'm moved on.
Part of what you want to do is make their job easy. Anytime you're submitting anything to anybody, you want to make their job easy. Do not make them take extra steps. As Art said, if he had to take an extra step, he's moved on.
Yeah, put your telephone number and your email on the CD, not just in your correspondence, because I got stacks of CDs, and they're, God, I mean, it would stress you out to look at my office.
And contact information, by the way, for any artist who think otherwise, includes phone number and email, not simply website. What did you do when you just give a website? You make us take an extra step.
If I'm going on a song and I'm pitching it, the first thing I'm knowing, if I think it's a good pitch, I'm going to be checking with that writer. Do you have an instrumental track so that I can tell the music supervisor, hey, there's an instrumental of this ready to go as well. And just less meaning more. I mean, you want to put your best foot forward. Then the door opens up and people go, whoa, I like your style. Well, then you can start getting some more stuff.
Welcome to the Composer's Corner. They can do specific types. Do you want to see a CD with a half dozen songs that are of a similar type, or would you rather have the variance that demonstrates their abilities?
Either one, just whatever's great.
One of the hardest things to get around because you're getting no feedback. It's very tough. It's very tough. I mean, I remember years ago I'd send stuff out, I'd never hear from someone.
Yeah.
And I would take it personally.
Like you're offended.
Yeah, you know, and then you'd call. Well, and they'd say, well, yeah, but we, you know, and then it's like, well, I just want to check to see if you got it. That's like the next thing you say. I just want to be sure you got it. Yeah, we got it. That's not a good response. So, you know, they got it, they're not getting back to you. If they don't get back to you, generally there's nothing to do.
But how do you remember what you've heard because you hear so much? What's going to work? Or is it just what's on your desk that day clicks with the timing thing?
Everybody's different, and Chris has his systems, but with me, there's two types of music. There's good music and there's bad music. So I'm looking for good music in every decade and every style. That's the first thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, period. I want to have a system where I can search through 50,000 songs with a click of the wrist and have a list of the songs I have. I'm going home and the lyrics, and I can instantly solve my music supervisor's problems. So I have business to business. These are not public, but these are online systems that are password protected for my clients to have access and to be able to browse my catalog. If they're in my system, I don't even need a deal with the writer. Just get them in my systems where I'm my pluggers, because with the online systems, I have pluggers in Germany and Canada and the UK, one in New York that work with me to make placements, and it's the holding tank that all the pluggers go in to find what they're looking for. So you have to first of all get past me in the sense of me going, this is great.
We like this song. There's a scene in the movie where Jim Caviezel brings Jennifer Lopez some coffee. It's in the morning, and he's waking her up, and he's bringing her coffee. We have a song called Good Morning Beautiful. We thought it was perfect, perfect. So we lay it in the scene, and it's perfect. Jennifer Lopez freaks out, goes crazy. You can't put a country song in this movie. Now, this isn't an urban movie. For those of you who've seen it, it's just a movie, right? It's just a romantic kind of weird movie. And, you know, it's not that country. I mean, he's not, oh, baby. It's nothing like that. This is just a song. Maybe there's a little steel. God forbid there's a little steel guitar. So, anyway, she freaks out. Her manager calls me. You know, she's not going to support the movie. My friend at the film company said, we're going to do it anyway. We modified it a little bit. She seemed to be better, was less nuclear in terms of the explosion. Yeah, maybe we lowered the steel. I don't know what we did. To tell you the truth, we may not have done anything and just said we did it, right? Which is another great Hollywood trick. So now the movie comes out. The movie comes out. The movie is we've done all of this. We spent months. All this. The movie is a horrible stiff. However, we have used that as a stepping stone for Steve Holy, who no one really cared about. Now Good Morning Beautiful goes to #1 on the country charts and stays there for 5 weeks, and we sell 500,000 Steve Holy albums that we had never sold. So the point is, the moral of the story is frustration, tremendous complications, all of this stuff, right? To try to get to the promised land. And no matter how you think it, no matter how many masters you own, no matter how many hit records you've had, we're all kind of starting at zero, over and over again. We wouldn't be anywhere without you. We must have people like you getting us material, because who's to say whether you're going to go on and be, you know, someone really big that we met here, and that we'll have an in with that's going to help us, that's going to help the people we're working with. This is the kind of thing that's just, you know, incredibly valuable. So, you know, I think that you have to try and be as flexible as possible and be as smart as possible.